All right. Well, first of all, I was introduced into the traffic incident management program back in 2014 by Joe Heflin with the Federal Highway Administration, and he introduced this program to the Highway Police and uh, Arkansas Department of Transportation, also known as RDOT. And it took a little while for us to kind of get on board with everything with it, but about 2015, we had our first train the trainer program. That's when I got trained for it, started the program. 2016, we kind of organized a little bit better and got a traffic incident management working committee organized with key players around the state, with the highway police, Arkansas State Police, Department of Health, Record Services, and what have you. And then we formed the Traffic Incident Management Executive Committee that we would meet with them at least once a year to bring everybody up to speed on where we're at with the TIM training program. And in 2017, at the executive committee meeting, Chief Ron Burks, which was the chief of the highway police at that time, asked me directly what we could possibly do to improve our traffic incident management training program. And I've always been told that if you ever asked a question like that, especially in government, that ask for something really, really big and maybe you'll get a small part of it. So I said, well, one thing that we could do to improve it would if we had a traffic incident management training facility that's similar to the one that they have in Tennessee, that we could bring all of our entities together and do some joint training with. And then they asked a few questions between the Chief Ron Burks and at that time Colonel Bill Bryant with Arkansas State Police. They kind of asked more questions in detail about what they did at these training facilities, and I explained what they did. So that kind of rocked on for a couple of years, or about a year, and we started discussing a little bit more about what these other training facilities had. And to make a long story short, it rolled around in the Arkansas State Police, which is a separate division from the Highway Police. The Arkansas State Police, they do enforcement for traffic enforcement, crash reports, criminal investigation, and those things. Where the Highway Police were a division of the Arkansas Highway Department. And we our primary job is regulating the commercial motor vehicle enforcement and permits, size and weight. And we also do our traffic enforcement and protection in our work zones. So anyway, we jointly got together, and in May of 2022, RDOT, the Highway Police, and the State Police, we joined together and building this wonderful facility that now we have a advanced traffic incident management training facility that I'm thrilled to share with everybody. So as you can see, the picture that you have in front of you, that is the classroom. And also that's where my office is, and we have administration offices. But it's about 11,000 square foot facility. And if I can get the screen to advance, here we have the classroom. The main classroom, it'll hold up to about 150 students. It can be broken up into 3 separate classrooms or any a second classroom and another room. Each room has its own large screen TVs, at least in the front or the back. Altogether, there's 8 86-inch large screen TVs around the room for easy viewing for everybody. And also at the back of the room, we have the video system that we can use for remote training if we want to do training and remote it into other locations. And it's just the classroom is top notch. The audio visual system, we finally got it all finished up about a month ago, and it's a very advanced program. And this is a depiction of the conference room, and it's got a little break room for the classes that are extended. And this is something that we're really proud of, and that's the track. We have 2.5 miles of paved roadway. This is a large overview where you can see it's got many curves and intersections. It's got one section of it that is similar to an interstate. I'll show you that in just a minute. But all the curves and the hills, you can't see from this elevation, but it was designed where you had obscured intersections and turns and what have you. So it's not just perfectly flat. It gives you every type of scenario you could possibly ask for. The part I was talking about, the interstate, we have a 1/2 mile section that is built to the specifications of an interstate or a 5-lane roadway, whichever scenario setup that you want to use it for. It's state of the art as far as the track goes. Some of the recent training that we've done, we did held a proper lane closure back in December to show and work with our record services and some of our fire departments and how to set up a proper lane closure and how to do it in a safe manner. After the classroom portion, we took them out onto the track and let them actually set up a proper lane closure, to get the experience of it. And doing that on something that is exactly like an interstate that's premier in learning. Some other things that we're using it for is realistic traffic stops. We can do traffic stops on interstate scenarios, urban areas, rural areas. The roadways are, the scenarios are up whatever your imagination can be. Another thing that we've used the track for is year before last, RDOT came out and we filmed 3 commercials to promote the slow down, phone down campaign that we have to get people to slow down and put their phone downs in our work zones. And the production came out and set it up on the track, and it made it look like they were in a work zone out in the real world. Week before last, they came back out and we set up and we filmed some more commercials to promote the slow down, phone down campaign. Another thing we're doing is kind of go along with the advanced training is our debris removal tools. RDOT has recently purchased, I think we're up to 13 of the lane blades, as you see in the pictures here. And we're going to bring them up to the track, the ones that's going to be operating them, and let them actually use and learn how to use them at up to full speed, learn how to set up a safe shadow vehicle. And that's a lot better than trying to learn how to use a debris removal tool in a parking lot or actually out on the road. We do a lot of some push bumper training with the highway police, especially because of our work zones. And we're bringing our highway police and others that are interested in learning how to utilize the push bumpers. We're bringing them out to do some training with that as well, teaching them some methods, even possibly of pushing large commercial vehicles with them. And we're bringing some out to learn how to safely protect the queue whenever we have queues developing either from work zones or from collisions, and teaching them how the difference between facing the traffic or going with the traffic and letting them get used to working a queue in a safe environment. One of the things we've got in our future plan is proposed to install about 400 feet of cable barrier, and whenever the funding becomes available, so that we can bring responders in and teach them how to properly manipulate the cable barriers without using the sawzall and what have you, and destroying the cables, which inevitably ends up with a responder, RDOT, going out to fix the cables, and it minimizes our exposure as well by teaching them how to use the cable barriers properly. And back in December, we finally got to hold our traffic incident management working committee meeting out here for the first time, and it worked out well. I think it was a unanimous decision by all committee members that we plan to hold all of our working committee meetings out here at the training facility, I guess, from here on out, if it works out. So that's what I have on the our training facility. And like I say, it's kind of new to us of having something of this capacity to train, using real life scenarios and setting up, and I'll be reaching out to others that have advanced training facilities to see what they're doing, and maybe we can work together and get some ideas for some great training at our facility. So that's what I have for the training track. Another thing that I've got going on is the distracted driving program that I'm going around and presenting to our high school and our young drivers, to teach them the dangers of our texting and driving. A couple of years ago, one of the managers of a local record service came to me and said that he was asked by one of the local schools, if there was a program like this, and I said not any that I'm aware of, and he asked me if I'd be interested in doing this. So that being a passion of mine, I said, yeah, I'd love to put on a presentation to show the dangers. So after I said that, I got to thinking, okay, what is the way that you're going to get a message across to young drivers about texting and driving without just throwing out a bunch of statistics and saying it's a bad thing to do? So I got to thinking, well, one way is you got to get their attention. So that being said, I asked the school's permission if it's possible, when I can, to have a vehicle delivered by one of the local record services that would have a vehicle that was involved in a distracted driving collision. And that way they would have to see this before they go into the auditorium for the presentation. That always seems to get their attention right off the bat. I get a lot of comments on this. Then I got to thinking, what else could I do in order to get the message across, and not to take light away from the dangers of texting, but I figured I need to entertain them, because we're talking about high school students. They want to be entertained, but I wanted to get a message across. So what do you do with that? I thought, well, get the students involved. Let them be part of the program. So what I do is I put on something that I stole from the traffic incident management program, was bringing in all the entities for the students to see who all is truly involved when they're involved in a collision due to texting and driving. So I set up on the stage 12 chairs, and in each chair I have something that represents the different entities that's going to be involved directly with this texting and driving collision. I have the law enforcement, the fire department, paramedics, tow and recovery, the Department of Transportation, medical services, prosecuting attorneys, defense attorneys, the jury, a judge, insurance agent, news media. I bring them all together, put them on the stage so everybody can see who all is truly involved in a texting and driving collision. That is not just between you and that person that you were corresponding the text with. That it turns out to be hundreds of people involved. Then I got thinking, okay, after I've introduced everybody who's involved in this, now let's get their attention and explain to them, what texting and driving can be. So I wanted to show a video. And some of y'all may have seen the video of the basketball players passing the basketball. I showed the video and I let them count the basketball passes. And while they're doing that, I'm kind of timing to see how many of the students, how long it's taking them to do this. Then I bring them up on the stage, 3 or 4 of them, and I had them ask them questions about the video. And what it's about is, one, they're supposed to count the basketball passes. That's the only instruction they're given, which simulates when you're driving, you're looking straight ahead. You're paying attention to the road in front of you. That's your only job, counting the basketball passes, watching the road in front of you. But then I ask them other questions. And every time they get a question wrong, I explain to them, evidently you missed something in the video. You missed something in the roadway in front of you. And if every time you miss something, you're possibly involved in a collision. And if you're missing it and it's due to your looking down at your phone, then your situational awareness has gone away. And it's very possible you're going to be involved in a collision. And the students, they have a lot of fun with this. They get a good laugh, and they get the point that you got to pay attention to the basketball passes, but you also have to pay attention to other things around you, same as driving. Then I introduce them the texting and driving laws that we have in Arkansas. It's named after Paul Davidson, which was a person that was killed in a texting and driving collision many years ago. I explained to them how the law came into existence and what all it entails. That how the students, they can't use their phones, and who can use it in the work zones and then school zones and what have you. And this is also a time that I take a minute to explain the move over laws. And I do this because I don't know how it is in some of the other states, but in Arkansas, we don't have just the greatest driver's education programs going now, because some of the schools are not introducing them because of liabilities or because of finance, whatever the reasons. But other than the students learning how to pass a test online, they really don't get the opportunity to have these laws explained to them. So I'll go through the laws with them on this. Then another thing that I do is I have the get permission from the schools. But I want, like I said, I want to get the students involved. I want to keep their attention. So I ask permission from the schools for the students that have cell phones to bring them to the auditorium. And I explained to them what I want them to do is I want to take their phone out. I want them to set it on their lap, because I'm fixing to send you a text. A message is going to come up on the board. You're receiving this text. I want you to take that text, type it into your phone, and I want you to send it to somebody, to actually type it in and actually send it. This is another time where I'm timing them, trying to figure out how long it's taking most of them to do this. Once they finish, this is the message that I put up for them. And it normally takes about 10 to 15 seconds for most of them to do this. And I explained to them in the length of time it took for you to read the text, respond to the text, send it back. If you're driving 55 miles per hour, you have covered the length of at least 2 football fields. And I explained to them then a little bit further than that if you went the length of 2 football fields, then a vehicle that's approaching you, they've covered the length of 2 football fields if they're driving the same speed. And with that being said, in essence, that means that a vehicle that is a quarter of a mile away, a vehicle they're not even seeing, will be at their front bumper before they even finish sending that text back. And I also went out and filmed a video uh, of that exact distance and speeds and showing how a vehicle that you can't see and all of a sudden it appears it's at the door in that length of time. And that had a way to get their attention a little bit. And another thing that I do with the program is I don't like to give a whole lot of statistics out because you start to lose your audience attention, but I want to give some statistics, but I do it in a way that they can visualize it. So each time I do one of these presentations, I do the demographics of the area to get the population of the towns that they're familiar with. And I add all these up till I get enough of them in that general area to at least equal over 500,000. That way they can give an idea of, they can see in their mind the people in their area. And then I explain to them that is approximately how many people are injured due to distracted driving each year. And that sometimes that's eye-awakening for them to be able to actually, see something that they're familiar with. But there's many more slides that goes with it. The presentation that normally lasts about an hour, and so far I have presented this to a little over 4,000 high school students, and it's I get requests quite often to put these on, and I'm glad to be able to do it because this is an area that I have a lot of passion for, is teaching our young drivers the dangers of texting and driving in a way that may get at least one or two of them's attention. Uh, there's a uh, there's a website there I have on it's a Facebook that the presentation that I did at the Fayetteville High School. Somebody filmed it, and anyway, they sent it to me, and so if anybody wants to see the presentation, they can click onto that Facebook page, and they can see the presentation in its full that I did at Fayetteville High School. But anyway, that's a program I've got going on, and I hope we get to keep pushing it on.